Good afternoon, everybody. So sorry about the delay. I do have the virtual background as not usual. But as always, I am your host of the Robinhood Capitalists, and with me is my trusty coach, Coach Stacey B. Say hi, Coach.
What's happening, everybody? What a beautiful day. What a great day to talk about networking. So, this is going to be an absolute fun and incredible episode. Happy to be here.
So this guest we have on. So I was excited to be able to even get her on. So had the privilege to be on another LinkedIn kind of live stream podcast, the Hounds of Happy Hour. If you're out there, shout out to y'all. But ended up getting to be on there with Reena Friedman Watts and Mark Reed, and let me tell you, it was amazing. These and Mark nailed it. But Reena has a voice that's made for this, as you all will see very soon. Um, but even deeper than that, we kind of connected right away, had a similar vibe. We have a similar drive for bigger and more, and I think it's really a deep dive into curiosity, which we're going to talk about here. But it's I think what makes her amazing at what she does. Her background she'll get into, but she reached out to me right after the show. We connected. We had like a maybe 20-minute talk, and then the next thing I know, she was just connecting me with amazing people, and I'm like, whoa, what what is going on?
I
And
think I think our friend Bob Berg would call her a go-giver, right? She was giving.
bingo, and that's what I just she had that right off the bat. And I thought this was the best time because I think where we get stuck, especially as small business owners or startups, is we know that the world is on us. And so we feel that we are on an island alone. But we do have other people going through very similar battles, and that we can, like she did. And I last plug, and then going to bring her out. But is she shared maybe it was a week ago now, a, a message LinkedIn. We hadn't talked for a little bit, hadn't connected. I was thinking about her though, and I think I had watched a recent podcast she did, and she shared a message and said, "Hey, I shouted you out," and it was like the best advice, or like second best advice, or something like that. And I'm like, whoa, the fact that like anything I even said was advice for anybody was like, okay. But then the fact that she shouted me out for it is it's not my advice. It came from Jim Carrey. I say it all the time, and I will share the quote on here as well. But it really did change my life, and I'm glad that it kind of rang true, it seems like, to her. But so she really answered that question in that show with where we always start our show with, which is, "Are you happy?" And so I'm going to share that after we share our intro, and then we'll bring her out.
Let's go.
I'm always on the red eye. This time around, it's not even about getting paid. I'm just an addict for the moment when the magic is made. And when you are who you really are, it can put you through hell. Spend a day in the skin that you wanna live in, and see how it feels while the world sleeps under my feet tonight. I'm chasing myself in the sky while the world sleeps under my feet tonight. I'll be up here learning to fly.
All right, y'all. Now I'm gonna show that clip, and then we're gonna bring her out because she answers this question of how we start the show, the Robin Hood Capitalist, every time. Are you happy?
Everyone usually asks, what's the wisest piece of advice or what's the most bullshit piece of advice you've ever received? But what is the second wisest piece of advice that you've received that has stuck with you in your career?
See, I came prepared. I came prepared for this.
See, you listen
I
to my
wrote
show.
something down. I was just having a conversation today with DJ Flores. I'm giving him a shout out too. And he said, I wish people would get everything that they want so that they would see that it's actually not what they want. I really like that. How can we be happy? It's the little wins along the way. Like, I feel like today because I got on the treadmill before I had coffee. I feel like I won today because I didn't miss any meetings yet. I feel like I won today because I'm doing what I love.
See, I like it when people come prepared and they actually watch a couple of.
And let's figure out doing what she loves, Reena Friedman Watts.
Woo-hoo. Heck yes. Can I share a little win? So today I've been doing a lot of back-to-backs and I made it to this where we could do this and I'm so happy. And my kids are out of school tomorrow for the summer. And I was like, I want to get DJ in because we haven't talked in months. And my little win is that I went to my kid's 5th grade graduation. He's now entering middle school. It was so inspiring. I got to be there for like 30, 40 minutes. Then I rushed, I did a coaching call and bam, now I'm on this with you. Woo. So I am doing it all, baby. Yes, you can have it all if you surround yourself with good relationships.
See?
No, that's a good day. That's
right.
A good day.
Oh my goodness. Come on. Coach, where do you go from there? Were you expecting that out the gate?
No, she brings the fire right off the bat. I love it.
She sure does. So Reena, obviously, I didn't even you do such a good job of being so humble of your background that you don't share enough. And I loved a few of the recent shows I've seen you on that you got to deep dive more into your background. And I love that, especially a recent episode I'll share in the comments and stuff, but was with Scott Carson. And it was like 6 months ago, I think. And it was amazing. And you went into some things that I loved that you talked about, but give a highlight if you could over the next maybe 8-10 minute just highlight of where you started, how it started all with the first show, what kind of the trouble you went through, and then to reinvent and I would kind of go deeper into that. But yeah, just share it with everybody.
8 to 10 minutes. Oh my gosh. Let's do a little back and forth, but I'll give you a highlight reel.
You got it.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's really sentimental now, actually, because I got my start at the Jerry Springer Show, and that was my first job out of college. And he recently passed away. I think it's been a little over a month ago. And what's so truly amazing is that during the pandemic, actually, a music teacher who rejected me from the high school that I wanted to go to. But then my dad went to the head of the music department and was like, what does she do to have to get in here? And I swallowed my pride. I took music lessons. I learned how to sing in a foreign language. I re-auditioned and he let me in. I think this was probably like first time in history for this guy because he was a stickler. He just had a program and, he ran it the way that he wanted to. And he was like God, like people traveled from all over the state to go to this school. And I didn't read all of the fine print. I just went in there with lots of passion and sang a song that I thought was good and I didn't make it. Anyway, so I ended up re-auditioning and getting into the school. During the pandemic, I stuck it out with this program, let me tell you, for 4 years. 4 years that I felt like I never really had gotten accepted because he didn't accept me that first time. And I always felt singled out. I never sang out too much. I just wanted to blend in, but I loved being around the talented people. It like turned something on in me. Anyway, during the pandemic, he passed away and I never got to thank that guy. And so I was like, who else I want to thank? Jerry Springer, man. I talk about that guy all the time. That was like boot camp. I stuck that out for, 2 full seasons and then the start of a 3rd season. And he made an impression on me. That show made an impression on me. And I want to interview him, thank him, see how much he actually knew about what we went through. And he granted me that. Actually, his publicist that I kept in touch with for 20 years, she granted me that. Linda Shaffron, God bless that woman. I had asked her, it was a yes, no for about a year and a half. And I finally had the right opportunity where this reality star had reached out to me. And she said that she wanted to do a podcast swap with me, I think because I had worked on Baby High. I was a mom of 4. She was a mom of 4. She was launching a new show. So I reached out to Jerry. I was like, look, if I can get you eyeballs, it's now. So please give me the interview and I'll interview it when she's going to promote me. And so I kind of played them off of each other, Kale Lowry. And I said, hey, I'm going to interview Jerry. Can you like promote me when I air that episode? And it worked out. And I got to interview him. And I was only supposed to get 20 minutes, but I got an entire hour. And it was so real. And it just, oh man, it felt like a God moment for me. Afterwards, that's literally what I said to myself. I was like, man, thank you, God. I don't know why you gave me that, but I didn't get it with the music teacher and I got it with him and it felt so good. And so started at Springer.
I like that.
So, and what kind of things were you
I
doing?
love that.
What kind of things was I doing at Springer?
Yeah, it was such an interesting show, but only seeing it from this side of the camera, it's hard to know what goes on otherwise.
Yeah, good question. I started off as an intern, and as an intern, I got to take the guests all around town with petty cash, and I was new to Chicago, so that was fun for me too. I also was from Kentucky, so my dad worked in a factory, and hanging out with the Jerry Springer guests wasn't far from my upbringing. So I enjoyed myself.
I know exactly what you're talking about. From Cleveland, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I was like, that's not that strange. How long's it been going on? Who do you want to be with? And to be fair, like I feel like the reason I was able to book the reason I was able to go from intern to associate producer and make that jump was partially because of that. Like I started hanging out with the guests. I started figuring out what types of stories was the show bringing, who were the best guests, what were they saying. And then I got on the phone and started making friends with them. And I really didn't judge the people on the other side of the phone. I made them my friends. And honestly, people told me that sometimes they came there to meet me just as much as they came to meet Jerry. And so I went from intern to associate producer to producer in one season. So that back in, 2001, it was like literally from 0 to 80,000, which is insane. Yeah, I went from sleeping on an air mattress to living on the Gold Coast. And I produced a show a week for, an entire year. And that ended up getting me into the Producers Guild of America. And then I moved to LA, kind of at the forefront of reality TV. And I didn't really know anyone except for an ex-boyfriend. And I ended up taking an executive assistant role to 3 very seasoned producers that gave me my first shot. And I saw a whole nother side of the industry where I learned the accounts payable. I learned what a budget looked like for a feature film. I learned how to location scout, and I worked for a small special effects animation company. It was run by 3 brothers. They really let me dip my toe into a lot of different areas. I networked like crazy, and I went from there to working at VH1 to then landing a post-production supervisor on 911 for 3 seasons, going to all kinds of red carpet events. And I worked my way back up in about 3 years to that Jerry Springer salary, So it was a hell of a chapter. It was amazing. Any questions around that?
So yes, when you started as an intern, like did you have a path like this laid out, or did it all just kind of appear as you went?
Yeah, that is a great question. I definitely did not have a path laid out, so much so that I thought it was just going to be easy to land another producer role. I literally quit Jerry Springer with 0 backup plan. I was just like, I feel burnout. This guy just asked me, how can I live with myself? I'm not quite sure. I think I'm going to go move to LA. Yeah, like 0 path planned. But that is a beautiful thing about being young and hungry.
Yeah.
If, I was always encouraged to follow my gifts. I was always encouraged to do what I love. My dad gave me that, and he followed me with a big stick.
Talking about that, talking not about the big stick, but about your dad. I did want to plug that. So, for all of you who don't know, she is and does an amazing podcast called Better Call Daddy with her dad. It is, I love the relationship, and I think I shared this with you, but I love the relationship you have with your dad. I hope that my daughters, I'm trying to breed, and I'm going to obviously, hopefully, by working through you, get a plug to your dad to find out how he built this amazing relationship. But I want that with my daughter. So I love he's super smart, has amazing wisdom, and just really I love that you wanted to share that with everybody.
I have found, oh my gosh, that my dad's 2 cents at the end of every episode when he weighs in on the episode is literally a gift to my guests.
Yeah.
And it has given my dad more purpose. Like doing this show with me, he looks forward to weighing in on these stories that I'm bringing him. He'll call me and he'll be like, "Do you have another episode?" I'm like, Dad, the but he's like into it now. And his responses and what he's able to digest from all of these people that I'm bringing into his life has enriched his life. It's amazing. Like, that is an unexpected beautifulness that has come from creating a show.
Is he still in Kentucky?
Yes, he is. But right now he's visiting his mom, who I have so much respect for him and the way that he cares for his mother. He is in Florida right now visiting her, and that is not an easy job. That is not an easy job. His mom, I love. She's like, I don't want to say favorite, but yeah. But she is where he gets it from. There are not too many people in this world that let you know how much you're loved. She is so good at it, and that is something I'm definitely going to miss. She's coming up on her 95th birthday. Thank you, God. And she's been like a second mom to me. She literally has said to me, like, "I love you more than anyone in this world." Can you imagine? Like, not too many people tell you that.
No.
It's so special. Yeah. That is one way to have a special relationship with someone. Can I just tell you something so beautiful today too? So from that 5th grade graduation thing that I went to, one of the teachers got up and was like, this got me. I literally almost cried. He was like, "I just want to let you boys know," because he's the rabbi to like the boys or whatever. He was like, "I have been missing you guys for the last month." He started with that. He was like, "I have been missing you for the last month," but he was like, "I'm not even gonna be missing you because my door is always open to you." He was like, "You're moving on to middle school and it's an exciting time." He was like, "But my door is always open." He was like, "This excitement that I've had for you guys all year long that you've gotten to experience, it is just the beginning." Damn, every teacher should bring that message. Every parent should bring that message. I get sentimental thinking about like how many weekends do I have left with my 9th grader? I'm already like, oh my God, he's halfway out the door, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It doesn't take long. I
It
have
does not
I have
take
2
long.
grandkids coming for visit this weekend, so it doesn't take long.
How can you make that special? How can you leave your phone behind? How can you show them their gifts and bring out those gifts and tell them their gifts? Like I had Matt Drink on my show, and he said, "I write letters to my children telling them the gifts I see in them." Imagine that.
Wow.
Imagine if you had a letter from your grandmother or your parent saying, "I see this in you.
Yeah.
I love this about you." Imagine if a teacher did that. Do you know how much, oh my God, just one line, it doesn't take much. It really does not take much.
No.
And it can change your entire life and
Change
existence.
a life. Yep.
Just a few words. Yes, exactly. Just a few words of acknowledgement or encouragement can change everything.
I asked a question on Twitter last week and I was like, "How do you find happiness?" Somebody literally said, "Learn." And I was like, oh my God, that is so deep. Literally one
Yes.
word, boom, and it was like right on the spot. How do you find happiness? You continue to surround yourself by knowledge. You are what you input, man. You read good books, you listen to good podcasts, you collaborate with good people. It's literally just continuing to learn.
So it's crazy. It's crazy, but not crazy. You went there because honestly, I was going to go there, and it's John. It was just at dinner maybe a couple weeks ago with John Hewitt and a few people, and this guy mm, created $2 billion companies already, tried to do it again. Never stops, knows so much already, master chess player, all of these amazing accolades already, and his words and was about learning. And he said, if I ever stop learning, dig a hole 6 feet and put me in there because then that's it. And I really think that's what life is. Life is, and that's what I think makes you such a great interviewer and host with what you do, and obviously with building the relationships that you've been able to, is your curiosity, but also wanting to. You mentioned in the episode with Scott about you would do anything and everything. You were doing it all. Let me try it. I want to try this. Well, let me. How does that work? I want to try this. That's been my life, and I thought I was crazy for the longest time until I just met other people who wanted that same. Just let me. I want to try. I want to learn. Oh, let me try. Almost like a curious George, and that's obviously why one of our out songs are Curious George, upside down. It's literally that's what I think why you can connect with people as deep as you do, as instantly as you do from even the show Jerry Springer's guest to building the relationships you said in sales and marketing that you did. So I wanted you to touch on that because I didn't even know that about you. That
Yeah. I
you
mean,
touched in there.
I talked about this yesterday with Chaz Volk. He's another podcaster who I'm getting ready to collaborate with right after this. This is the last one for the day. But um, we were talking about how you can try things and explore new areas. But another key piece to that is knowing when to get out,
Yes.
knowing when it's okay to be like, tried that, wasn't for me, and being okay with that. So I'll give you a good example. Like I'm working for cool.fm right now. I love it right now. I feel like it's mutually beneficial, right? Like I'm getting better at intros. They're republicizing my episodes. I got an upgrade in equipment that I'm working with. They're spending, thousands a month in making this broadcast professional and with music licensing, and I'm getting to attach my name to it. Will that go on forever? Maybe not. There was a girl that left the station and now she's working for Power 106. I mean,
Oh wow.
you know what I mean? Right now, it's mutually beneficial. Right now, the ROI is doing things for me that I like. And when it stops being that way, I've moved on from opportunities that were good for about a year and then they stop being good. And I'm like, I learned and I'm moving on.
Yes. And that is so our mission of this show, our goal of the Robinhood Capitalist show really is for those people who feel like they're stuck. Like I say it all the time, you hate Mondays or you get that bad feeling in your stomach on Sundays, like maybe think about what you're doing. Like there's something else telling you, and that's your feeling. Like in the end, oh man, I just heard a quote that was just so amazing. uh, a change of feeling is a change in destiny.
I listened to that. Let me tell you, my gut is strong.
Right?
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
that feeling. That is that
big
feeling. And
time.
if you have that, that's where we want people to do exactly what you're saying. Don't spin your tires there. Don't stay stuck. I've felt that way a lot of times too. And I think that's also where we can sometimes hit our comfort zone, where we forget to keep learning. We think we know it all already. We already know all the answers, and it's like, no. And something always comes and smacks you like, no, you don't know everything. And I think that's the greatest thing about John Hewitt, really is. I mean, this guy's done some amazing things, but to hear him say, uh, learn. I need to learn. I want to learn. And you could see his curiosity with just wanting to ask and talk and be willing to take a conversation with anybody is a true just wanting to learn. What nugget can I get from this conversation? And I've taken that and latched onto that and have been running with that hardcore. And I think you've done an amazing job with that too. Go deeper with, I guess, what is it from just really connecting on a level like we did after the show in your career, that it started that way, but then led to something deeper with maybe Nanny 911 or something? Was
I
there
just
any
wanted to add one
connection?
more thing to what you were saying, and then I'll go to Nanny 911. But yesterday, or a couple days ago, I interviewed Lisa Zarodny, and she's another podcaster. I think if you are in an area like podcasting, you want to talk to people who are 50 episodes in. You want to talk to people who are 100 episodes in. You want to talk to somebody who's 1,000 episodes in, right? You want to see, what are people discovering at the beginning? What are people discovering where you're at? What are people discovering that are a few steps ahead of you? And so I was doing an interview with her the other day, and one thing that I gleaned from the interview was, like I said, I was talking to somebody today that was at the 50 episode mark, and he was like, how can I be doing this better? You're at the 300 episode mark. And she gave me a great idea. And she was like, she's a productivity coach. So one thing that she said is, people like to know what they're getting into, right? People like want to know, are you 6 weeks out from airing this? And when you air it, what's that going to look like? Are you sending me a clip? Are you sending me a graphic? Where would you want me to put those things? What do you want me to say when I post it? Right?
Yep.
So when I was
Yeah.
talking to this guy at 50 episodes, I was like, oh my God, I might have sent him the clip and I might have sent him the graphic, but I certainly didn't tell him what to say, where to put it. Right?
Yes.
So the more, even with coaching calls, right? Like, if you let them know, like, are there a couple things that you would like to discuss? Is there something that's more pressing than others? Are there any examples of something that you might want to see beforehand? Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I'll tell you, even shows I've been on, some people have sent a list of these, and I'm like, hold on, whoa, I never did that. Am I doing this wrong? Like, what is going on? This is cool. Oh, that's a cool idea. But I think that's, if we can be open to learning. I mean, I think that's where that always just learning. We can truly learn something from everyone. Is those little things. If we can pick up on those little
yes.
things that make somebody better or make something better and just tweak that, that's life. That's the game of life in the end, is literally what little habit or skill or thing can I add to my already kind of running machine to make this, I guess, what I put out to everybody better.
Yeah.
And
Like, what is this person an expert at? And how can I take what they're an expert at and make my version of that?
yes.
So even Nanny 911, I applied to this guy through the Producers Guild, which I got into through Jerry Springer. I applied to this guy literally for like a year. I think I literally was driving him insane with how many times I tried to work for him. But he had worked in the industry for like 30
That's
years, and he
sales.
was working on everything that I wanted to work on. And so finally I cut out the fluff, man. I cut out the nice cover letter and the like trying to butter him up with like talking about that he's working on everything that I want to work on. And I cut that completely out. And I literally wrote him like, Bill Clinton's no longer looking for interns. This job sounds like fun. I just got super witty and like straight to the point. You know what I mean? And he turned out to be a Bill Clinton fan. So that worked out in my favor. I didn't even know that. But a lot of it is timing too. So he invited me in for an interview. I interviewed with him and he asked me if I could start that night, like 7 p.m. that day, and work till 7 in the morning. So 1 was timing. 2, it was like not giving up and driving the guy crazy. 3, I was willing to work third shift for an entire first season. So I worked third shift for 9 months straight. And then the daytime post-production supervisor got fired. And I took her place on days the next season. And then I worked another season on top of that. So this guy also was like, I think 1, he liked my ballsiness, but 2, since I had worked at Springer, he saw that as a gift. I had interviewed with other people who saw that as like borderline porn, and weren't impressed with that part of my trajectory. Here's the thing. What I have discovered, I've discovered this now working with a couple different opportunities, is that you want to work for people who think what you've done is great. You don't want to work for people who you have to cover things up for. So the fact that he loved that I worked at Springer, that was like my people. If he would have been like, why didn't you say that you worked for NBC or Universal, right? Then you might want to be like, maybe that's not my people. So there were times in my life where I did try to hide parts of myself just to work with influencers or just to work with cool productions. But the ones who actually like that you've done that work or can see the good in the work that you've done, they're actually the better people to work for.
Yes. I love
That's
I love that you went to being genuine and authentic and
yes.
being the real you. I think that is where we're stuck. We've been bogged down to this degree that everybody fits in a certain box, and once you get placed in that box, that's what you are. But uh, we all are different in many different ways.
Also, don't
And
be
so
Yes.
be
desperate.
you. Be
Don't be
you.
desperate. Like,
Yes.
just because you want something and it seems so cool, it might actually not be. So, like, be selective.
Yeah, so high intention, low attachment. Don't get so attached.
Yes.
Have high
Oh, I
intention. Yeah.
love that. Yes.
Yeah, and a couple of things. So you talked about finding someone that's been where you haven't been, and a lot of what we do here is we talk to entrepreneurs and we talk about franchising. So that's what franchising is really all about too, is finding that proven model that you can learn from and learn from the mistakes of others is really big. So I thought that was really good. But the one thing I wanted to dig just a little bit deeper on, DJ gave the quote about feelings, and you had talked about making sure you're using the books and the other podcasts and all the things that are out there. So our feelings are driven by the thoughts that we allow to go on inside of our mind. So what are some intentional things you do? Like, what are maybe some books or some podcasts or music? What is it for you that really keeps that intention going?
Besides calling my dad, to be honest, running on the treadmill 30 minutes a day really clears my head. And a lot of times I was trying to like cram in podcasts while I did that, because I do have very little time to like get inspired. But I'm actually finding that giving myself a little pause, and if I'm going to listen to anything on the treadmill now, it's music, and just letting my creative juices flow while I run for 30 minutes.
I love that you said that, because I think most people misunderstand the idea of meditation, or I mean a walk and listening to music, or even just a walk and not listening to anything at all. When you can get there, and that now it almost seems like you're talking to yourself. I mean, that's meditation, or really getting, you can answer some questions there. And that's where, when you get good at it, you can say, hey, like, why is this going on right now? And you will find an answer. So I love that you shared that about the
You
treadmill.
have
Yeah.
to leave space for an answer. You have to leave space for that
Yeah.
meditation. And look, I like to read at night. I'm always in the middle of a book, especially having a podcast. Let me tell you, I literally receive a book a week. And I've found
Okay.
myself really getting into memoirs lately. I could plug 3 right off the top of my head.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I read by Miriam Feldman, which was also, I shouted her out in a podcast recently. She wrote a book called God Said What. And I feel like I'm constantly trying to fit God into my life. And if you don't have some sort of spirituality or meditation, then that is part of why we're here, I think.
Yeah,
Anyway, but
absolutely.
her book really spoke to me because she tried to deny that part of herself for so long. She was like, she just related to being Jewish as like a nationality, but tried to like, but once she accepted it, and it took her, I mean, into her adult years to do it, she's like, this is who I am, whether I accept it or not. You know what I mean? So I might as well tap into that. And it was like the whole struggle back and forth of like, I'm reading it, I'm not feeling it. I'm reading it, I don't understand it. I'm reading it. Oh, it's starting to make a difference. you know?
Well, that's good that
I
you
could relate to that so much.
well, and it's good that you gave it time. Sometimes with the reading, I'll get so caught up, it almost becomes just a goal in and of itself just to get through the book without really getting what I'm supposed to get out of it. So a few years ago, I quit setting goals of how many books to read and just picked a handful that I wanted to dig into multiple times through the year. And that was a lot more powerful.
And probably fun.
Yeah, less stressful. Or I didn't feel like I had an obligation over me to do it, you know?
You know what's so funny? So I'm getting ready to be on a podcast. It's called Bad Jew, which is like so accurate. Like I definitely feel like one of those. I've tried to be Jewish in like 7 different states. So we're going to talk about what's it like to try to be like something that you are. And I'm going to bring up that, like, I've watched Fiddler on the Roof. I've tried to read Anne Frank, right? Like these things are like token Jew things to do. In preparation for being a bad Jew, I picked up Anne Frank over the weekend. Yeah. Oh, man.
From the Christian perspective, I've got a stack of C.S. Lewis that I do the same thing with.
Exactly. But that's the thing that I was and I talked about this on another podcast too, but that's something I was so ashamed of growing up. This is something that I know takes a lot of work and a lot of putting yourself out there, but if you can embrace your weirdness, if you can embrace your uniqueness, if you can embrace being a Jew from Kentucky, like that is what makes you funny. That is what makes you different. That is part of your gift in being here. It took me a long time to even want to say that out loud. And I'm sure my kids could even potentially be embarrassed that I'm admitting to that, but there's no denying it. You know what I mean?
It's what makes you. And that's,
Yes.
in the end,
Back to
that's
being
like,
authentic, right?
yes,
Back to being authentic.
exactly. Like that's what it's all about in the end. When you are the real you, like I mean, in our intro song, I mean, it talks about that. Try the skin you really want to be in for a day. See, like, paint the picture of everything you imagine that you could be or want to be or think you want to be, and do it. Try it. See how that feels. If it feels better than what you're doing right now, there's telling you something. You probably should start chasing that.
I'll tell you, when you stop trying to cover things up, it's actually easier.
Right?
Yeah. Well, and there's psychological science that proves that this is not a bad method for us to all live by.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I had a guest who was a method actor. He just did a documentary of becoming Robin Williams, and he was talking about how he had never truly expressed how he felt to his dad until they were both method acting on stage.
Mm.
And this guy was getting super vulnerable on my show. And I was like, why am I wearing a wig right now? Why am I trying to be super Jewish right now and look pretty on camera? And I literally took the wig off during the interview as this guy was crying. I was like, this is the real me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Good for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good for you.
What a story.
Is that crazy? On video.
Yeah.
I was like, why have I been wearing this for 10 years to try to fit into this Orthodox community that doesn't even fully embrace me? I'm taking this off right now.
Yes. Be you. Be you, everybody.
It's so hard to do. There's so much judgment out there. And to be honest, people who keep going and keep exploring and keep sharing more, I'll tell you what, the people that I have on my show that are open books and are like, I don't care, you don't have to edit a thing, they're my favorite people.
Yeah.
I have those types of people on to help me get to where they're at.
Yes, because, and I'm glad you said that, because those people typically have made it through all of those judgments, a lot of the failures, a lot of the mistakes, and they get, once you get to that point, it's okay, you don't agree. And John Hewitt is probably a great example of that. I mean, he is very who he is and very strong on that, and like it is, and I love that. That's what I love about him most, actually.
From our first episode, DJ, you've gone back and referenced a couple of times the Les Brown quote about we're all born unique, but we die a copy.
Yes, yeah, Yeah, I truly believe that we are all born unique. I think that's like you going back to what you talked about, Reno, with the gift and God. I mean, don't be afraid to say God on our show. We talk about God. We get flagged or bounced or whatever. But you have to have a higher. If there isn't something that you look up to, then what are you looking up to, or what are you even living for? So there has to be something. And so I'm glad you went there. But yeah, it really is.
That's how I transitioned to wanting to get married and have kids, actually. So that's a good transition right there, is that I moved to LA and I worked on all these cool shows. And at 25, 26, I started feeling the pressure of, I grew up in Kentucky. My parents want me to get married and they're like lining people up at family events to try to match make me. I'm like, no, really, I'm good. But I also was feeling a bit empty. I was like, I've had all this success and I feel like something's missing. And so I went on a singles trip to Israel, and my roommate on the trip was like an executive producer, and she like was getting all spiritual through the Kabbalah Center, but I felt like she had found something. Like she was going to the wall and like praying, and I'm like, "Oh, like she was turned on to something I was missing." And so I started following her. I'm like, what are you doing? Yeah, I was like, she's had all this success and, she's engaged and she's doing this prayer thing. And so I didn't even know where to begin with that. Let me tell you what God looked like for me for a long time. If I make this basket, there's a God. Okay, best 2 out of 3. Like literally, I was testing God, right? And even at Springer, like when I worked there, there was this security guard who she was so faithful. Like she always would give me blessings. And I'm like, whenever she gave me a blessing, I swear to God, I had a better show. And I was like, so that I remember, and I felt like I was missing that. So I went on this like trip to Israel and then I started like unplugging from the world for 1 day a week. I was like, let me try this Sabbath thing. Like it seems like a good idea, right? And I've kept that up now for 17 years, where I
Good for
literally turn off my phone from Friday night until sometimes Sunday morning,
Ah,
unless I have like something that I have to like be on a call or something. But the world does not go out of orbit. And a lot of problems work themselves out. And if you can eat food that you don't eat the rest of the week, and if you can spend special time with the ones that you love, and if you can get out into nature, and if you can replenish yourself, it will set your week up for success.
mm, yes.
the phone fast would be good for all of us. My running time, that used to be my phone fast time, but I'm not running so much anymore, so I'm not having that time, and I can feel it wearing on me.
Hmm.
I try to encourage my dad to do it too. I swear he takes the phone with him everywhere. I mean, he hears me in the shower, he hears me in the bathroom. I'm like, "Dad, you literally can leave it outside of the bathroom." It's crazy. Yeah, we're so addicted.
So,
We don't it's too
some people,
much.
it is, and
It's an appendage.
it's a distraction, is what it is. In the end, it's made to distract us from learning. It's
So there's been so many good things
made to
already.
distract us from growth.
The most amazing thing thus far is that there was a godly person casting blessings at the Jerry Springer show. That's
Yes.
amazing.
It's
Right?
so crazy to the point where if she wasn't there, I had another like church-going friend that I would call if I didn't see her, and I'm like, "Dude, she's not here today. I need a word." Yeah, like I noticed a difference. It was so crazy. It like I don't know if it was just like it changed my mindset or whatever, but I felt like more secure going into the show if I saw her. It was so crazy. Yeah,
That's
there was like a godly moment at
That's
Springer.
cool.
that is cool though. But it's those little things. And so I'm going to bring up the actual quote from Jim Carrey. We'll dive into that because you mentioned about going uh, to LA and the different world there, and now you're in Houston, and so you've experienced different places, and I want to dive a little bit more into that. But this was the actual quote. Oh, nope, that's not it. That's a good one.
Good
Sorry.
one.
That is a good one. This is it. This should be it. I think everybody should get rich and famous and do everything they ever dreamed of so they can see that it's not the answer. And that was something that, again, being from middle America,
Yeah.
where it's different, and I didn't really even understand that until being even in Virginia Beach now, where I'm at. Had a lady who I met who has a magazine that came from San Diego. So the other side of what I think is another level of the society, or whatever you want to call it. Um, she was funny because coming to Virginia Beach, she said to me, she said, I didn't really know where Amish people and like horse and buggies existed until moving to Virginia Beach. And I'm like, what? Like, this is nothing like Ohio. Like, you should see Ohio. But being from Kentucky, from Ohio, like, we've seen things and you've seen things, and it's been different in Kentucky, I can guarantee, than in California.
I
And then
just
it's
had
been
my first
very different.
matcha like 2 weeks ago. Yes.
Really?
That's funny, right? Yeah. I
Yeah,
just had
that
my
is.
first matcha and they're so good. Now I tried it iced. I'm expanding my
Yeah.
likes. It's so crazy. But little things like that. Yeah, I don't think I ate avocado until I was like out of Kentucky.
No, I didn't know what an avocado was.
That's so funny.
Just little
No.
things like that. But yeah, I forgot what I was going to say about your quote. Um,
Oh, it was just about getting everything that you wanted. I mean,
yes.
so you've experienced that. I mean, you've been working with people who get the instant fame of reality TV from the MTV world and the VH1. And so, like, I guess, how did you stay rooted like you are, and
I'll
not
say that
fall
a
into
lot of
it?
those reality stars that I witnessed behind the scenes when the lights, camera, and everything went off, I saw how unhappy they were. And same thing in the influencer space. And that's
Mm,
a tough reality. I'm like, do I even really want that?
mm,
Right? Like, I feel like that's also a trap that podcasters fall into is like they want this instant fame too. They want
mm.
instant followers and, big followings and they want to monetize their show. But I'm like, how many people are you continuing to build relationships with? How many people are reaching out to you that you're changing their life? How many people are introducing you to other people? Like that, I would more judge my success upon.
Yes.
I couldn't
Yeah.
even honestly manage much more than the introductions that I'm currently getting. You know what I mean? So there's that too. Like, do you want to be a collector of people or do you want to have genuine relationships?
Mm,
Yeah, yeah,
yes.
and it's kind of a fine line. So I love big, hairy, audacious goals, but we have to know, what are you willing to sacrifice? Because there will be a sacrifice, and is it worth the sacrifice to go with where you're trying to go? And as I'm working, and I don't know if you see this as a coach too, but a lot of the folks I work with, most of the time what we spend is just trying to clarify, what do they really want, what life do they really want to live, because they're spending so much time on the business or the show or whatever it may be, that they're forgetting that there's a life to be lived, and it's a very short one if we're not careful.
I love
Mm,
that. And I think it's
mm,
really important to do intention checks.
yes.
What is the intention behind what you're creating and what you're doing?
I-
What are you
If
really trying to accomplish here?
Yeah.
I think that is the secret to life, really. I think the if we can truly be intent, and I think it's impossible. I mean, we're human. We're imperfect. We're going to have those moments, but eh, I think the secret is literally the more intentional we can be in every single moment with whoever or whatever that may be. That's where true growth, the kind of love, the magic happens. If there's magic that's going to exist, like you said, if it's right, magic's going to happen. If it's wrong, you're going to know right away. You should exit left
I
fast.
can give you an example of how my intentions have even changed. Like, I'm going to admit to, in the beginning, it being more selfish. In the
Yeah.
beginning, I wanted to become a better interviewer. I wanted to showcase who I'm capable of reaching, show that I've worked in casting and can get outrageous stories. But what it became was so much more meaningful. Like, now I want to inspire. Now I want to make an impact. Now I want that special time with my dad. Now I want to give each guest the gift and blessing of what my dad is going to actually say to them back. Now I want to package it for them so that they can take what I've learned and apply it to what they're doing. And
Now,
maybe I can even help them create something, a version of it for them.
and now, just curious, but let me ask: did the universe, as you started to transition from me to the calling, the purpose, the passion that you clearly just gave there about what you're trying to do, did the universe seem to answer and just kind of connect things a little bit easier? Things started to line up as soon as you started to focus more on the giving part.
I mean, I continue to bring in new clients and new opportunities. So I would say yes. I
Yeah.
think I could probably even scale that, but it again goes back to intention and what
Yeah.
do I want to be doing? What do I want to be doing? Part of my brand is that I'm a mompreneur. I have 4 children and they come first. Like I said, today I started my day with drinking some orange juice and tea with my 5th grader. And my whole world isn't just wrapped up in becoming an influencer. I'm good with 1 or 2 clients and actually making a difference for 1 or 2 people at a time. For me, it's not 100% all wrapped up in that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Oh. So,
I like
Coach,
to
any
know that I'm making a real difference for the people that I do sign on with. And I think
yeah,
when you try to scale too quickly, you can lose sight of that.
hmm yeah, I think that's even proven. Wouldn't you say that's been proven over time in franchise world, Coach?
Yes, yes, it has. And with what you said right there, is it's in the middle of all that we lose ourselves,
Yes.
and we start chasing the wrong things, and we get
Yes.
into all sorts of things where we don't belong, and it's just it's a big trap that's out there. And it's such a difficult world we live in, because the temptations are everywhere. We're comparing ourselves with everybody's fake life that they're putting on every social media platform, and it's just very difficult. And where it's most difficult is for our children. So I loved hearing your story that your kids are seemingly in a really good place, a really good school, because there's so many challenges that are our kids, that they're being forced into situations to fit in places when they don't even know who they should be yet, before we're trying to get them to fit in with a bunch of knuckleheads. It's just it's so dangerous. And
Yes.
having your idea that as a mompreneur, those 4 kids come first, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful that you said that.
I'll say too, like we just moved, just like you, DJ, over this last year. And I knew in moving that they were going to all be at a new school and all be making new friends and all having their own reaction to that. And that
Mhm.
I needed to make more space for that. So much so that, like, you know, my daughter moved right at the start of middle school, which are hard enough years
Mhm.
anyway.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's more important for me to take her phone call when she's having a rough day and needs to Starbucks and chill than taking an additional client. You know what I
Agreed.
mean? Yeah.
Uh, it in the end, that's where our mission of the show is: 10,000, helping 10,000 families create heaven on earth. I think heaven on earth, I know it sounds crazy, and I say that on purpose to make it sound crazy, but really it's not. It's what you're saying there in a nutshell. It's the balance of your family life along with your financial harmony, whatever that number is, for whatever. Again, we know nobody needs billions unless there's a reason that you're giving a lot and helping so many people that it's worth it. Like there's we have a balance that if we can find that balance, and that's really heaven on earth. I mean, I think we can all have that. We don't have to wait for after this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I will say too, like, you need to have all of those pillars, and if you are missing one of them, it will affect the rest of them. And
Mhm.
so one thing that I'm going to give my husband a lot of credit, but he brought balance into my life. I was a workaholic. I And I know too, sometimes when you take a 9 to 5, it's not really a 9 to 5. They freaking own you all the freaking time. And what's good about being an entrepreneur is, you can decide how much time you give up.
Yeah, in the end, you're trading your time for money, or you're going to lose some, but now you're gaining that freedom, and
And
that's
the
really
hard
what had me stuck here for the longest
the
time.
hardest lesson to learn is how often we undervalue ourselves too. We're not
Oof.
charging what we should. We're
Mm.
not asking the way we should if we're in that 9 to 5 for what we want out of life, and continuing to be intentional there. But these intention is my buzzword all the time. I think we have to live with intention, and the way I feel like that we can kind of balance this idea of big strong goals, but not getting too attached to the outcome, is through constant and never-ending growth. If we can just focus on making ourselves better every single day, and it doesn't have to be 100% every single day, but just a tenth of 1% better every day is an astounding difference as it compounds over time. And I love this conversation that we're having, and I hope everyone will take it to heart, the importance to, if right now, if somebody's out there listening and you don't know, if you couldn't tell me right now that you've got something on your calendar today that's going to be for your own personal growth, you don't have a plan for personal growth, and there's a problem there that we can work on and we can help. And it's just it's a different mindset, and it doesn't mean that I'm going to work on my job or a necessary skill. I'm just going to work on me, and I'm going to be better for my family, better for my community, better for my employees, better for my team, whatever your situation is. Just show up better every day. And if we continue that, I think that contentment level will go up.
I love that. That's so on point. Yes.
I
Continue
agree.
to, if there's somebody who inspires you, listen to their podcast, see who's interviewed them, read their book, send them a message telling them that they inspire you. Again, back to those little messages. If I hear somebody on the radio and I like one of their bits, I literally will just right then and there send them a voice note. Or if I see somebody's post and it touches me right then and there, like I don't overthink anything, because I don't have the time to overthink anything.
Yeah.
So, see, I've got to get better at taking that intentional step that's an actual action step afterwards. Because I think my normal reaction when I hear it is, oh boy, that's really good, I'm not going to forget that. And then I forget it.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
actually take action on it, which sears it into your brain, and you build a connection on top of it. That's wonderful.
Another thing I do is like your quote, like, and please send me that Jim Carrey one, is I Twitter everything I want to remember. My whole Twitter feed is just like good thoughts throughout my day.
You know what? I checked out your Twitter and I was wondering, because you do have some random, just quick thoughts. But I love that. That's a great idea,
It
actually.
hits everybody different too. And
Yeah.
you make different connections based on sharing things that turn you on or that you're into.
Yes. Well, take the last couple minutes, plug where they can follow you at now, what you're doing next, how it's going at Cool FM, and just thank you so much for doing this with us. This was awesome.
Thank you both. I just want to say this conversation is an example of how you can hone your skills, how you can do self-improvement. It doesn't have to be reading a book. It doesn't have to be taking a class. It can literally be surrounding yourself with people who you share values with, that have the same mission, that are doing something that you love. So if there's a podcaster that you love, I encourage you to let them know. You never know how that can turn into a collaboration. We met through another podcaster that we love. I actually tagged him in the comments at the beginning of this. I tagged Bob Berg.
I see it. Thank you.
Anybody, I tagged Kurt Sasso, who you played his clip.
Yeah.
Keep people along in your journey. Write down what has happened in your day. I guarantee you, if you just, this came out in another podcast episode with Sarab, of Let's Talk podcast. I'm going to tag him now too. But if you 5 minutes a day write down a detail or a story or a quote or a conversation that you've had that's inspired you, just 5 minutes a day, once a week even, that will compile, right? And that will make you better, and that will bring life and joy and make it more meaningful. So just try to do that even. You can find me at bettercalldaddy.com. I have recently won a reboot from Namecheap where they redid my whole website, and it's amazing. And I'm working on keeping that up and blogging and getting better. It looks amazing. Check that out. BetterCallDaddy.com. You can
Yeah,
find me on
y'all
all the
better.
podcatchers. And then Sundays from 6 p.m. till midnight, I am on cool.fm. And that came from a LinkedIn post, which is so crazy. LinkedIn helped me get that job. So they're even rebroadcasting episodes of Better Call Daddy at 10 p.m. Eastern on cool.fm. So that's pretty cool.
Cool.
Wow. Well, y'all better check out Better Call Daddy. Check out the new website. I put it in the messages. I'll share it as well on the links after the show. So on our YouTube channel, I'll share your link as well as
Cool.
Scott and Scott Carson to that YouTube video and a few other things. But so if you all want to
Amazing.
check out those videos, please check that out. Amazing interview. You get
And DJ Thursday, we do a kind of a recap on the things we talked about here. So the same folks that we're tagging here, join us Thursday. We'll dig a little deeper into some of these ideas.
Oh, cool. I love that.
Yeah, so what we do, Reena, is so Tuesdays we have our guest, an entrepreneur and some sort like yourself, and then Thursdays, Coach and myself will break it down and just really certain things that we liked of that you did or mentioned that you do well. We'll deep dive into that and how it can really help people in entrepreneurship, starting a business, just personal development or leadership, self-awareness, and entrepreneurship is really what we're focused on in the end. Just helping people be their best self.
And sometimes it stays on that track, but sometimes it goes wherever it goes.
That's my fault, obviously. But until next time, y'all. Again, thank you everybody for joining us. Reena, thank you so much. This was awesome. Obviously, we'll have to have you back on. There's so many other things I kind of wanted to talk about and get into, but we'll save that for future episodes. So thank you again, everybody. Again, check out Better Call Daddy. Don't miss her on Cool FM. David Moss, amazing guy over there running things over at Cool FM. So be sure to check him out and follow him to see what's next with Cool FM as well. But again, until next time,
Thank you.
keep feeding the good wolf, y'all.
See you Thursday.
Lavishness can't give me anything that lavishness can't give me anything that I need. Give me the new money. Give me the new money. Another check won't do it. Another watch won't prove it. You can't hold